points on the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in October 27, 2021, and the stock market is going to be shaky tomorrow. We got a lot of action after hours today, and it has a lot of implications for tomorrow. But why I'm saying shaky tomorrow, because tomorrow will actually be chill compared to Thursday. We are not getting any mega caps tomorrow. So far, Monday, Tuesday, we've gotten to hear from a lot of names. So given what we got today after hours, it is kind of setting us up for a nice market. But now there's a lot of things the market needs to digest. So there was a couple of beats. Microsoft and AMD did very good, and so did Google, but they also didn't grow at the fastest pace. The thing that's kind of worrying people right now after these earnings with some of the big companies, it's that they've met their guidance and they've done good. Some even guided a little bit higher, but the quarter-over-quarter growth is actually just not that much. It's about 1%. So there's going to be a lot of digestion tomorrow. We got a little bit of news overseas, and we still got a lot of economic data coming this week. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to go over all of that, what happened in the market today, the rest of the earnings, the plays that we made, and then the plays that we have for the rest of the week. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description, and it's pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/the stock market. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch us come to life. And yes, if you grew up eating those Tina burritos in the orange wrapper for 25 cents, then yeah, we're the place to be. And the most important thing you need to do, post or watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything. Post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So, right off the bat today, we got a lot of different earnings. Again, a lot of us are focusing on what we got after hours, but even this morning was a little bit shaky. There was a couple of good ones from GE, but then Lockheed Martin, they slipped pretty big, so they were down. But we're going to talk about it here. For the most part, most companies have done well, but now, like I said, the biggest issue is that even though they're meeting estimates and doing a little bit better and kind of guiding up, they should be, the rate of growth is starting to look like it's peaking. That's what some people might start saying, but overall, it's making sense with some of these earnings moves where these companies are doing good, but we're not really watching the companies move. And then today, you also saw Facebook reverse, and I think this was a very, very big part about today that we kind of ignored, because yesterday, they were up 2% after hours. Even in the morning, they were up, but then by the end of the day today, they were down like 4.5%, so that definitely weighed. And then we also got negative China news. It had to do with our politics as well as another one of their developers defaulting, but you actually saw the worst move on China stocks in the last month, so it's kind of bounced back a little bit. But today you saw those moves that you were seeing earlier, but today brought in a little bit of fear. But then on the positive side, believe it or not, we actually been getting some positive news on the political side. It's been overall factoring in good. You've been hearing a lot of the budget and infrastructure. That has been decent so far. So we're going to talk about that a little, but coming into your first pretty picture here, I'm tying this into earnings because things could still change for the market. But when you're looking at what's going on globally, even the dollar, bonds, everything else, and just where the U.S. stands so far coming into the end of 2022, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, they're all hitting all-time highs. But what this is showing you is that not every country is actually there. If you even look at Shanghai, they are 40% below their record highs that were set in 2007. And then now Japan, the last time they hit a record high was 1989, and they're still down 25% from there. And then when you look at the MSCI emerging markets, Asia Pacific and the rest of the world, they were sometime either beginning of this year or again August and September. So you're seeing only a couple of markets doing good as of recently, and then our markets. But then for the most part, there's still a lot of other stuff going on, and this is now factoring into what you're going to get with earnings, but then also Powell, any of the policy, and then what we're going to get at the end of the year. But like we've been talking about, earnings are still going to be key, at least up until Thursday. That's when you're going to get Amazon and Apple. Tomorrow, there is going to be a lot of companies, but it's not going to be the mega cap ones. So this is where I'm thinking the market might get a burn one day. But now, given what we saw with these earnings, where some of them did good, or even if they good, it just wasn't perfect, or the growth rate has been a little little bit lower, that might add some confusion. We need to see how the market interprets it. Again, you saw it with Facebook today, but the continuations and really where the analysts start to feed in from it, that will be very, very important to watch. So keep your eyes on that. But now, like we said, the politics is having a very good effect. So we're going to be watching out for that news. We got a couple of headlines. And then on top of it, though, even with some of these big earnings, these small ones will be key to watch. Obviously, if there is a bad mega cap earnings with Apple or Amazon, that could really change things. But for the most part, right now, the market is broader than really it's ever been. And that's your second pretty picture here. This is showing you the market breadth, and it's sitting at an all-time high here, meaning that the rally is very, very broad. That means there's a majority of companies advancing than declining. It's not just concentrated within the NASDAQ and then some of the big caps. So keep that in mind. But then, like we've talked about here, for the most part with earnings, 81% of companies so far have beaten expectations. If the rest of the mega caps are good, the market is quickly going to start focusing on the next big thing, and that's pretty much going to be what is the Fed going to do next week, the pace, and how does that start to affect things, and then how do you position for 2022? So coming into your company news and events here, I just have a quick breakdown of the earnings, kind of just like one sentence lines for it. But Microsoft cloud computing fueled the revenue. They did good. They're still up after hours. Google growth, they're down, and the growth was overshadowed by slower YouTube and cloud. Even though they beat on revenue and EPS, they missed in certain segments that people were looking for. AMD, they beat on almost every metric and had a good forecast. They're down after hours. There was a little bit of margin guidance that was like slightly lower, but they did awesome. And then Robinhood pretty much missed on every metric. I mean, some things were a little bit better, but for the most part, kind of like Snapchat, they had way different guidance, and now they've even sold off below their IPO price. And then Twitter, they barely missed, and I actually thought it was pretty decent. It wasn't as bad as Snapchat. They kind of shrugged everything off there, so that was good. And then Texas Instruments, they are down after hours, and it's primarily on them delivering bad guidance. So those are the main ones. There was also Visa. I think they ended up flipping after hours negative. They had a decent report, but keep your eyes out for these tomorrow, as well as the host of companies. Again, a lot are going to be reporting right off in the morning, from Spotify to even GM, so look out for that. But then coming into the health side, we heard from Pfizer and the FDA. They have approved the Pfizer vaccine for kids, so we might see some moves. Again, we've been watching the vaccine stocks be a little bit volatile here, and there's been a lot of news, so watch out for that. I am waiting for, I believe, end of November for the Merck pill to get approved. That's the vote we're waiting on, so watch that. And then this was some of the China news that we got today, but the U.S. is cranking up the Beijing tensions. I don't know why it says tendons, but the U.S. did a ban today on China Telecom. They said it was to protect us from security or any security influence from China or something like that, but that was a ban. And now some people are even saying it could lead to more bans by next year or end of next year on certain names. And then another Chinese property developer, they defaulted today, as well as the China government demanding or suggesting that the billionaire founder of Evergrande should pay back the debts that the company owes there. So that one was kind of interesting. But again, China saw the biggest drop here in a month, so we'll keep our eyes out for that. Then looking at energy, and this one's going to lead here into the plays, but coal inventories, they have hit a 24-year low as electricity generator demand increases. Essentially, even in the U.S. now, we are burning through coal reserves faster than we can mine it out of the ground. And now, if you've been following some of the coal, it's a fossil, dirty fuel. You know, it's really, really dirty. So a lot of cutbacks have happened over the years, but even now, given the demand here, especially coming into winter, a lot of people have noticed this, and now this is taking headlines, a 24-year low. But there was that, and then coming into some Powell here, Senator Rick Scott opposed the Powell renomination, taking a card from Elizabeth Warren's book, but he sent a letter, I believe, to Jerome Powell, as well as even tweeted about it. He said until Powell starts acting independent or could show that he is not just going to blindly support the current administration and what they're doing, he is not going to support them. And some people even said that Biden is actually already fielding interviews with other people. So again, we were supposed to get that nomination in September. We are about to enter November, so give or take a couple more weeks, it might be sealed that Powell may not come back. So we're going to see what happens. And then jumping back to China with a little bit of Russia here, but Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, they said that they are not going to be attending the UN Climate Summit. It's dubbed, quote-unquote, humanity's last chance. It's an environment summit for clean energy, but they are both ditching it. So that one's interesting. Given all the energy stuff and what's going on, we'll see if this relates to anything, but it may not be one. Just kind of a fun piece there, but we will see. And then the billionaire tax details are going to get released today, but it looks like at the very least they are introducing a minimum corporate tax of 15%. So if there's any business with 3 consecutive years of $1 billion or more profits, they will have a minimum 15% corporate tax. This is from the bill that they're talking about of taxing the wealthy in this new unrealized capital gains. But there was that, and then another negotiation, and like we've been saying, for the most part, a lot of the politics have been helping out lately. Manchin and everyone else, even Pelosi, they said that they might be able to get a deal as soon as this week for the budget and taxing, so that's good. But then another thing that came up today was SALT, and we're actually looking at this. This could have a lot of investing implications on certain assets, but there was a proposal today where they would suspend it for 2 more years and then put it on for 4 more years, kind of like a balance. But a lot of people commented on it, and don't forget, SALT is actually even still a sticking point for a lot of other politicians. So depending on how they work the deal out or not, wherever SALT falls into it, it might come up as an issue, so watch out for that. And then finally, according to the FTC, cigarette sales have climbed for the first time in 20 years. So not only is it just overall demand, but as a lot of reports have been saying bad things about vaping and all that, a lot of older smokers have returned. So good for some of the cigarette stocks. We own them. It's kind of hard. I don't know if it's like good or not. It's just very conflicting, but overall earnings is still in play. We're going to get a weird day tomorrow. We're going to get to feel things out, but then after Thursday and Friday, we're getting in the Fed and we're going to know the answer. So I hope you're ready, but that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 different stacks that I'm looking at coming into tomorrow. One is going to be a continuation. And the other 2, I don't have any plays on, so I like them. But we did do the strategy today that I went over. I did it again on Microsoft, and then Microsoft is going to be the first play. I think they had the best earnings. They're up a little bit after hours, slightly above what they were pricing in, but I think we could see a good continuation. It could go either way. However, I am leaning a little bit more bullish. That's why tomorrow will be key, and then depending on how Microsoft trades, it'll lead into the second play. But Microsoft, watch for the continuation. After seeing what Facebook did, 5% following that, anything could happen. But then at the same time now, there's also a big earnings with Google. I'd be watching them as well. But now, coming into the play that I made today, I wanted to show you guys really how we played this out. This is that same day earnings strategy. I did it again. Remember, we did it yesterday on Facebook. We took the loss. I did it again here in the morning. We waited a little bit longer, about 6 minutes instead of 2. I grabbed 10 of these contracts around 35 to 37 for the 3:30 calls, and then you could see throughout the rest of the day, I got those in the morning here. These were calls. The stock went down, it went back up, but then for the most part, the stock was literally lower than where we got it in the morning. But now when we come to the option, you'll see how it played out, but the option literally just started appreciating throughout the day. So even though the stock was lower than where we started, you can see it kind of looked like the chart, but that last hour or so, that's where you got some of that earnings run up. So I was able to make them free. I was trying to get 2 of them for free. I was only filled on half of them, so I ended up selling 5 out of 10, ended up holding them. So we'll see how it plays out, but overall, I am going to be looking for a continuation coming into tomorrow. So watch out for them. And then coming into the next play, after seeing what I did on the last 2, I am going to try to do an earnings continuation of post-earnings so you guys can see that now. We didn't really snag too much of them, even though there's been some moves. We've actually been doing very well on the pre-earnings run-up plays, but then I am going to be watching Apple and Amazon, so they still are yet to report till Thursday. You're going to have 2 more days left, and this is the thing about playing this strategy here, is it's really just a game of musical chairs. At any given moment, the premiums can drop. Just because we've bought them and they've held up a little bit doesn't mean that they can't totally get obliterated, and we've seen that happen. But depending on the type of move we get tomorrow, the follow-up, the continuation with Microsoft and Google, and then if the market is going to have some clarity and these start to run, I would definitely be looking at these for some pre-earnings plays. It looks like Apple is going to be the cheaper one, but I do believe the contracts are down on both sides, so I'll have to look into that. But that one is going to depend on where it's at, pretty much in the morning or the first hour or so, or even end of the day. So be on stream and we'll look at that. And then finally, the last play is going to be Arch Coal, ARCH. You could apply this with any of the other material stocks as well, but now I'm thinking coal might be a silent leader. If you go look at any of the coal names, a lot of them should be squashed, but they are holding up. But they do look a little bit better than some of the the other energy names. I mean, they just look like they're hanging up there. So I really like it. I'm going to look at them in Arch, but then like I'm saying, X, Nucor, any of the other materials, they are still in play, especially if we're going to get any of that infrastructure news. So those are going to be the main plays. As far as everything else, a lot of what I'm going to be watching is going to be these pre-earnings run-ups. So again, you're seeing how I've already gone about this strategy. I will eventually either need to decide to play these for earnings, or I'm going to have to take profits. But here's the NVIDIA. Going to be watching that one. We only got this a couple of days ago, but this one was up even at like 1,1600 bucks this morning, closed at 1,300. We got it for 300. But again, AMD results were good. I'm playing the sympathy, but NVIDIA reports in a couple of weeks. This is that pre-earnings run-up. Then that Shopify, we grabbed this one yesterday on the put side. Remember, this was the double whammy to Google and Facebook. That one went up 48%. Shopify reports on Thursday, so we're going to have to decide and monitor the premiums. And then the Coinbase, they dropped today, but they're still up about 100%. This is another one of the pre-earnings, so going to be watching these tomorrow until they report. And then as far as everything else, I am going to be watching just a lot of earnings continuations. Again, Microsoft, Visa, these will all be in play. Again, last earnings season, we did the post-earnings credit spread, and that could be a move, but some of these have been breaking out, so watch out for that. Watch the hood. We have those plays that we made earlier. Those should be up, but again, it's right below. I think it briefly traded below IPO price, so watch out for that. AMD and NVIDIA, those are going to be in tandem, but again, AMD is still going to be a continuation. If they open red, this one might be one good for the upside. Again, their report was actually very, very good, so keep your eye out for them. Again, Twitter as well. Then Apple and Amazon, these are going to be the ones I'm going to be watching here. You see how they're held up a little bit better today. They still might have the juice, but all depends on the premium. And then Spotify, they're going to report in the morning, so going to be a little bit more volatile, but there might be a post-earnings continuation play. And then Ford, a lot of people have been asking me, do I think the pre-earnings run-up is over? It might be. I mean, they are going to report this week. You already saw an epic move. Then it gave some of it back. It's kind of basing here. It really looks like Uber and a lot of other names we saw, but I think the pre-earnings run-up may be done. It may hold up a little bit, but I would just keep watch. If you do notice it take off and outpace with the market, then maybe people get hype and it might still be there, but it might be a little bit too late, so watch out for them. And then ENPH, they killed it. Enphase, this is going to be another post-earnings, so probably have 9 or 10 on your list now. Texas Instruments as well. Going to be watching all of those, the other plays that we're in, and then depending on how the other earnings are, and then really after Thursday, we're going to start looking at the companies that report a week or two from now, and then it's going to be Fed mode. But coming into TLT and the dollar here, the dollar actually surprisingly went up today, and then you did see the bond yields come down a little bit, which kind of chilled things off, and it was weird because tech saw a little bit of a rotation, but honestly, it's not giving us too big of a move. I think wait till after Thursday, we'll either finalize whether or not we're out of this range or not, and like I'm saying, that will be the final step into Powell. But essentially, up until we hear Powell Tuesday, Wednesday next week, I wouldn't believe any move that you see on the bonds. Again, the expectations and break-evens are still ramping up, but the nominal yields, the actual yields on the bonds, they haven't necessarily reflected that, so a lot of people are anticipating it, just a matter of when, and that's why it's looking like Powell is going to confirm it, but we still got some wiggle room in the meantime, so I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shine. I need to remember, wash your face and get back up, baby. But the code loves you. I love you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.